Feeling bad about a mistake can help kids learn, but only if it tells them what to do next. We see a lot of conversations in society that seem to want for all bad emotions to become extinct. Proponents of these theories might say things like, there's no point in dwelling on the past, we can only focus on the future. But in my personal and professional opinion, this isn't realistic. We need to not only acknowledge negative and feeling emotions, but also teach our young people how to recognize them and how to use them in their day-to-day lives. If we see a lot of people for feeling badly or for showing those negative emotions, then we've stopped acknowledging the very real and human side of our job. So, how can we use these negative emotions? What should we be teaching our kids? Well, guilt isn't generally considered to be a basic human emotion. It's something that requires higher level cognitive processes, self-awareness, and moral judgment. Basic emotions like fear, joy, or disgust are innate and automatic. They're hardwired in to aid survival, whereas guilt is something much more elegant. It's acquired through socialization, social survival, and soft evolutionary processes. It's sort of evolved as a way of keeping social groups stable and fair, aiding cooperation, avoiding that individuals took too much from the group or acted in antisocial and possibly dangerous ways. This became an alarm system. There has been a mismatch from the expected behaviour to what actually happened, and we need to fix this now. It's the emotion that needs higher level reasoning, so it involves lots of the newer and flashier brain parts, the prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC for higher level tracking, but it also ropes in more primitive parts of the brain, like the insula and the amygdala, to give bodily feedback on that feeling. Guilt is thought to act as a signal for behavioural change in neurotypical brains, where the ACC tracks conflicts. It can see the difference between expected behaviour and actual behaviour, and it signals this mismatch as a possible threat, leading to the sensation we know as guilt. Healthy guilt can lead to change. Healthy guilt is, this action is not good, not I am bad. In neurotypical brains, it's good for helping individuals change their behaviour. And studies show that guilt, when used correctly, can help children to learn from mistakes. Guided conversations helping kids of 4 to 6-year-olds to understand what guilt felt like, what it meant, and how it could be lessened show these kids were able to be more reflective and relational. Guilt was also found to be useful in pointing kids towards repairing with others, leading to more pro-social behaviour. So techniques found in traditional classrooms have some merit. Short-term, action-focused guilt can help kids learn from their mistakes. But studies also show that guilt isn't a good long-term motivator. So what does this mean for teachers and parents? Well, it means that guilt, when focused on an action and not on the person, can be useful when it's used as a signal, not as a sentence. It tells kids something went wrong, fix it, not you're a bad person, you made me feel bad. This is especially useful in younger kids. If we can train our young children to recognize the feeling of guilt, see it as a signal of change, and teach them how to not to link it to their personality, we would have a more emotionally capable younger population. When looking at the guilt signal, even with our teenagers, we can still teach them the following things. It should be short-lived. It's simply a signal to change a behaviour that didn't work. It should be linked to trying again or repairing a situation. And 3, it should only ever be moderate in its intensity. We should never guilt trip our children or students or make them feel badly for long periods of time. And it should never be linked to their ability or personality. So what do we actually say in the moment? Well, if a child makes a mistake, the goal isn't to remove the emotion, it's to shape what the emotion does next. So instead of, why did you do that? That was naughty. You've made me upset. We can guide the guilt signal by asking, what happened there? What do you think went wrong? What can we do to fix it? And this keeps the focus on behaviour, understanding, and repair. Crucially, it keeps the child out of that identity-based spiral. A simple way to think about guilt when teaching children about mistakes is to aim for this pattern. 1. Notice. Something feels off. 2. Name. This is guilt. 3. Understand. What went wrong? 4. Act. How can I fix or try again? And 5. Release. I'm allowed to move on. If guilt doesn't lead to action, it's not doing its job. Thank you for listening, and remember to follow for the second part of this video, which will focus on neurodivergent brain and how they interact with guilt. And spoiler, it's not the same. See you soon. Bye.